How to change CV boots on your Mercedes annular axles. I think I got the word right, annular. These are CV joints that can be opened and serviced. And what we have here is the lubricated and slightly worn CV joint from a 560 SEL. Now, the thing is that these can be opened up and serviced pretty easily, unlike the can type CV joint, which is a totally different story. Now, how do we begin? This cap here can be knocked off. I recommend using a brass drift for this, but what you don't want to do is bend the thing. And this is the CV joint end right here. Can actually be removed pretty easily. It's like a wheel bearing cap. So, once this is off, it's hard to see, but in here is a snap ring. And once you undo the snap ring, the entire joint slides off because there's a spline through the middle that goes over the center of the axle. Now, people often wonder about this thing right here. Now, this is a smaller CV joint. The 6-cylinder cars use these small joints, and the 8-cylinder cars use these big joints. You can see there's a size difference. If you're swapping to a 247 differential in a car like a 300 or a 350 STL, there are some things you have to do. For example, on a 300 STL, you have to get the axle flanges from a 350 STL, or they're the same as a 1990 and later 300 SL or SL 320, because they're wide enough to fit in the fat 247 differential case, but they're the narrow diameter. Or with a little bit of machine work. Anyway, if you're doing a 247 axle conversion on a 6-cylinder car, particularly a 6-cylinder diesel, if you're using a 300 STL, then you need to get 300 SL 1990 or later, or 350 STL axle hubs that snap into the differential, because these large hubs are not compatible with the small U joint, with the small CV joint, and vice versa. Now, another thing that you need to keep in mind is that you have to use your original axle. This 560 axle is actually too short. You've got to use the longer axle, which is about 1.5 inches longer from the 300 STL or the 350. And in order to make that work, to get this large, fat, juicy, beefed up CV joint on a 300 STL axle, if that's the way you go, you actually have to cut an area behind the axle spline about right here where the joint slides on, so that this will go on all the way and will snap in place with the snap ring. I hope you guys got all that. Now with the 350, things are a little easier. Basically, you take the hubs out of the 560 differential and put your original ones from the 350 in, and then everything goes together. My opinion about this stuff is, is what it is. It's an opinion, but these are probably the best CV joints that were ever made. They're fully serviceable and they're easy to get to. Now, people are wondering how to get this boot off. Well, it's simple. This thing right here is an axle can. You can see the lip here, and it just simply taps off just like the front part, so that you can separate just the CV joint. Now, if you're doing this, again, you need to have the front and back cans of the 560 joint. And in addition, you need to have the right clamps from Mercedes. The small clamps are part number 124-997-3490 and 124-997-3090. And they require a crimping tool to get tight, which you can buy at AutoZone for $10, so that you can get your new boots on. I mean, boot fatigue is one of the main reasons we end up doing this, because the boots start to crack. Anyway, I hope you guys learned something useful from this lesson on CV joints. Oh yeah, people wanted to know about the grease too. Sorry. The grease is part number 001-989-0551. That is from Mercedes. 001-989-0551. Mercedes CV grease. And you typically need about 1 tube per axle, maybe a little bit more. I would probably get 3 tubes to do the whole job, to be honest. So, that concludes our lesson on Mercedes CV joints and repacking. These things just tap back on. Make sure you coat everything thoroughly in new grease. And you should be good to go once you reinstall them and bolt them back in the car. So for more great how-to videos of your classic Mercedes, drop us a line in the comments and let us know. And in the meantime, please like, share, and subscribe. And if you enjoyed watching this video, share it with some of your friends. If you've supported us on Patreon, we thank you so much, because we can't do it without Patreon donations. And in the meantime, enjoy driving and working on your classic Mercedes.